Hi guys, welcome back to Fanoni. Good to have you back with us again. We're just going to whiz down to the river field shortly and take some water down for the cows that are down there, and while we're down there we'll have a look at some examples of some soil compaction as well, and have a look at the impact that that has on the way that the grass is growing down there. What we'd normally do is fill up from this hose here into the IBC tank, but yesterday when we went, they'd drunk so little, it's been so wet here that a lot of that field has had like quite a lot of standing water on it, so they've just been drinking from that and they haven't actually drunk much from the trough. So there's probably enough in the IBC tank to get through them today, so it'll make the job a little bit quicker. Right, hang on, here's the hostie. I've put the orange roof beacons on so that people can see us when we get out onto the road. We've got, you can probably see, we've got the post knocker on the back of the tractor at the moment because we've been sort of doing some fencing work and bits and pieces with that. So rather than taking it on and off all the time, it is a bit of a pain on the road really, to be honest. But as I say, it's more of a pain taking it on and off all the time. So it's going to stay on for now. I normally reverse out onto the road because the tractor, obviously the nose of the tractor, you sort of sat right back over the back axle really on a tractor. So you've got the cab in front of you, then you've got the engine in front of you, and then with our tractor we've got the front loader on the front of that, and then we've got the IBC tank on the front loader in front of that. So to actually pull out onto the road from here, by the time you can see up the road to see whether it's clear or not, the IBC tank's on the other side of the road anyway, so if anything's coming, it's too late really for you to be able to do very much about it. I find if I reverse out, I'm out on the road earlier, so I've got better vision up the road. We haven't got the best access in and out really, and it's downhill down to our drive, so people tend to come down it a little bit too quick very often, and they just don't even know that the farm entrance is here. So right, that's it, we're out on the road, we're away. Whew. Let's head down the river fields. So I've shot this video, or a version of this video, probably about 3 or 4 times over the last few days, and well, over the last week. And then when I've got back to the house and checked the footage, basically it's been so windy and it's been so wet that it's just been unviewable. So action like this, what happens is, so I'm redoing it now because we've got a bit of a sort of dryish spell and the wind seems to have dropped today. So I thought we'd redo it now and have a quick talk about what we're doing down here. So there is mains water coming into these fields down here, but it's not getting to the troughs, and we can't work out really exactly where the problem is at the moment. We think we have obviously got a split pipe somewhere. We're not 100% sure where the pipe comes into the field, which is our first challenge. So we've got to find the pipe first, and then we've got to work out where the split is. I think I know now where the pipe is coming in. So once the cattle come through from where they are at the moment, we'll start digging a couple of holes around down there, get the spade out, and see if we can find the pipe. Now the reason we want to do that is twofold. One, we've got mains water in here, so we should be using it because it's much easier not to have to do this every day. It is a bit of a tie. It takes probably a good hour to an hour and a half out of the day to come down here. By the time you've waited to fill the IBC tank up, driven down here, come through the various gates and stuff to get into where the cattle are at the moment, wait for the IBC tank to drain out and then drive back to the house again, you lose a good hour to an hour and a half out of the day really. That's one thing, but I also want to get to a point where we're only really driving on the fields when we absolutely have to. Certainly with the tractor, the things like the quad bike and that are not too bad. They're smaller and lighter and they don't cause the same sort of issues. But what we've found down here is we do have a thing where we're starting to see the effects of soil compaction down here. And what I'll do, I'll get the tractor in through the gates now, and I'll bring the camera out and I'll show you what I'm talking about. This is the gateway where we're in and out, and you can see obviously while we're coming in and out of here we're sort of leaving tracks in. There's a footpath then that comes in through this gate here. It comes off the estate on the other side of the road. People come over the road, come through the little gate here, and then they follow the footpath round, and that's the footpath, and I'm hoping that's going to come out okay, that you can see it. If we just go along it a little way, and we'll come down, and I'll try and show you. So on the sides here, you'll notice there's dandelion clocks, and there's quite tall grasses and other bits and pieces, all sorts of things really growing, plantain, and all sort of growing through here. And it's fairly long and leafy. If you look at the length of that, that's pretty much, that's the length of my forearm. And then you've got where the footpath is, you've got this, where it's not even the length of my fingers. And that is purely down to soil compaction. There's nothing different on this part of the field to that part of the field. It's just where people are walking back and forth through there, and so the soil gets squashed. If you think of the soil as being a bit like a sort of sponge with air spaces between the sort of particles of soil and what have you, and those air spaces are important because they let the roots get down, they let water percolate down, they let the earthworms travel through. But what happens is when you're constantly sort of walking back and forth on it, that sponge gets squashed and squashed and squashed, and then eventually it can't bounce back up again. So the air pockets are all gone, and then the roots will find it harder to get through, and so you end up with this sort of disparity across the field where you've got sort of really big, like, nice bits of growth not on the footpath, nothing on the footpath, and then across the footpath you've got all this extra bit. And I know lots of people say, oh, it's nettles and it's weeds and brambles and stuff, but that's all part of what we're doing down here. There's wildlife habitat. The nettles and the brambles provide lots of shelter and food for lots of the stock. Nettles are really important for lots of butterflies, for example, but also the sheep and the cattle will eat them. So they're important to keep hold of, really. So as I say, that's a little bit of compaction that we can see there. And then if we go across here to where we've been driving in and out, bringing the water down to the cows, and now bear in mind this has only been for a couple of weeks that we've been doing this while the cows have been out, and look how the track has developed across here where we're driving through, and you can see where the tyres are digging in, because obviously we have to come down here with water for them every day. Now, albeit on the wet days they're not drinking very much. Like yesterday, we hardly used any water at all down here, but there's still a fair bit of weight coming through. So the IBC tank, when it's full, will be about a ton. So I'm not 100% sure what the tractor weighs, but I would imagine it's probably, it's got to be 4.5 ton, isn't it? So you've got all the way to that and the post knocker when we're, as I admitted earlier, a little bit too lazy to take it off. So the weight of the post knocker as well, that's got to be a good ton and a bit, I would have thought. There's a fair bit of weight pressing down. Now if we can get the mains water back working again properly, and the mains water is supplying the water down here, we don't have to come down here with the tractor, and we don't have to compress the ground down like this, because this is really not, we want to avoid this if we can. I'm not saying that people on the footpath are damaging things at all, don't get me wrong, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that when we're coming in with the tractor, the difference between a person walking through there and the tractor coming in and out of here, the difference in the weight per square inch is huge. And soil compaction is an issue generally anyway. You'll see now when we go over there, they're a small breed, the Dexters are quite a small breed, so I always judge our cows to be about 450 kilos probably live weight. They're nigh on half a ton, and that half a ton is pressing down on the ground as they walk across on 4 feet, kind of that sort of size. So the weight per square inch as the stock are walking back and forth across it is probably higher than the tractor, because although the tractor weighs, I don't know, probably 10 times the weight, that weight is spread out over 4 enormous tyres. I would imagine a lot of people who are watching this will be watching Tom Pemberton's channel as well, and they've got a very similar tractor to ours. It's a Hurleman. It's basically the same, more or less the same tractor that we've got, and they've just fitted much bigger tyres onto theirs to help alleviate soil compaction. I say just back in the autumn, I think it was, and so they've put much bigger tyres onto their tractor so that they can travel on the ground like this without causing the same damage. When we go over and start filling the tank up now, I'll just quickly show you where the cows walk back and forth and the compaction that causes as well. Oh, they've drunk very little again actually, the cows. Must be making use of that wild water out in the field. Right, let's get the water on. This is the sort of thing I was talking about with the compaction that the livestock cause. You can see there's a kind of footpath that the cattle have created, and that's because the cattle will generally walk in single file, and it's partly to sort of hide the numbers so that no one really knows how many cattle are in the herd. So they'll walk like this. Lots of animals do it actually, and they all walk in single file, and what it means is that you get these little sort of trails of compaction across the field. There's another one just here which comes down this way, which is presumably the way they come to the water trough if they're lower down in the field. But they all lead back to the trough, and you can see there's also a bit of sort of churned up ground around the trough as well. And this is the sort of thing that we get with ring feeders. I'm trying to work out a way of avoiding this if we can, and I think the only way of doing it is to have them on quite tight rotational grazing like we've got the other cattle on, and just have like multiple water troughs so that they're not in any one place for more than a couple of days. So these have been here now for probably about three or 4 weeks actually. They've been in here, and we have moved the water trough once from where it was originally. The idea is that they are causing a little bit of poaching down here because it just gives the wildflowers and what have you a chance to sort of establish as well. So we're not unduly worried about it, but in a in one of the more sort of production driven fields where we've done reseeds or something, this would be a problem, and this would be something that I'd want to avoid. So if you've enjoyed that video or found it interesting, then do please give it a thumbs up. If you'd like to see more of what we're doing to try and deal with soil compaction around the farm, then you can subscribe to the channel, and you can opt to have notifications for when we post a new video, and that way you'll never miss any of the content when we upload it. So we've got a really exciting announcement to make probably in the next day or so, once we've had everything confirmed and we've got everything through. So we'll do a little video on that to explain about that shortly as well. I hope you've enjoyed this one, and we'll hopefully catch you on the next one. Cheers, take care, bye.